Welcome to Let's Humanize the Workplace. My name is Vivian Acquah, and I am the Workplace Wellness Advocate. And today I have something serious to say. I know that a lot of platforms currently are participating in the Blackout Tuesday today, but I already had this live show planned and I already wanted to speak on things. So today, instead of holding a Blackout Tuesday, I am holding a Speak Up Blackout or a Speak Up Black Tuesday. So, what I'm going to talk about is something that is really close to my heart. And maybe a spoiler alert, maybe I'll cry, maybe I'll be angry, maybe I'll be sad, but know that this subject, it isn't a subject that we should look away. It is a subject that is affecting young and old, and I'm going to talk about this. So, for the people that have been watching, this is my son, Orlando. This is the time when he was 3, but he at the moment is 6. And I am having a hard time explaining to him what is happening in the world and why it is that we, Black people, a lot of people are demonstrating for equal rights. Tell me, how can I educate? How can I help my son understand this? Because I, as an adult, I'm 39 years old. I can even understand what's happening outside. Why people are losing their lives just because of the tone of their color, the tone of their skin. Help me understand. Help me understand. So yesterday, there was a demonstration here in Amsterdam. It was about Black Lives Matter. And a lot of people are, there were a lot of people on the Dam Square in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. And a lot of people are now debating about, there were too many people. We weren't keeping our distance. We weren't being mindful of our distance. But know that every Black person, every person of color, or most people of color, have been dealing with microaggression. I myself have dealt with microaggression. And that's also one of the reasons why I started the show, to humanize the workplace, because there were so many occasions where the dehumanization has been started. So that's why today I'm speaking up. I'm speaking up for those who can't and for those who are afraid to speak up. And even I myself, I'm shaking here because I feel like it's 2020, and why are we still talking about this? The reason why I started this show has to do with the fact that by the time that Orlando becomes an adult, I don't want him to deal with the BS. I don't want him to deal with the BS that we are dealing with now. And that's why I'm doing this at the moment, speaking up for those who can't, or those who are afraid, or those who don't know how. And not that I know how, because I'm learning along the way, but I have to do something. Because you have to think that children now are realizing there is something happening. They are seeing their parents, they are seeing their family members crying, being upset, and not knowing what they are about, not knowing how they are supposed to react. So help me. How am I going to explain this to my son? How am I going to do this? If you have the answers, please let me know, because I don't know how to explain to him that we are all equal, but it's because of the color of our skin that we are treated differently. Help me understand. I also want to bring to the light a post that a previous guest speaker shared recently about this instance. And she was at the Dumb Square yesterday saying that now is the time for companies to speak up. It's not about employer branding. It's about the human branding. Now is the time to do what's right. Now is the time to make that statement that you're supporting your people. And I've seen LinkedIn doing that. I have seen PayPal doing that. I've seen Nike doing that. What I've also seen that a lot of companies are using their social media to share something about the Blackout Tuesday. But what I haven't seen is that they are standing up for diversity, standing up against racism, speaking up against racism. So I am challenging the companies in Europe. I'm challenging the companies in Amsterdam. I'm challenging the companies in the Netherlands. It's time to attack racism. It's time to say that you're supporting diversity, you're supporting everybody in the workplace, you're supporting all people. Because the way you act now, that's how we will remember you, if you're supporting or if you're silent. And in the Netherlands, we have a saying, silence is approving whatever is happening is good. I know I might not be translating it right, but there is a saying, stilzwijgen is toestemmen. So silencing is approving whatever is happening now, and we don't want to approve that. Thank you, Emily, for supporting me, and thank you for allowing me to share your post. I really appreciate it. And I also want to say thank you, LinkedIn, for making a point that we need to stand together. We're in it together, and we need to change this direction. Whew. Thank you, Mary Lou. I was having a hard time sharing this because, again, it comes to my heart. When everything that touches my soul, my son touched my soul, and I have to do something about this. I almost had doubt to not go live tonight, but this is my way of speaking up. This is my way of supporting everybody who's facing these challenges this day. Know that I support you. I love you. And I am standing there next to you because we need to speak up. We can't tolerate this anymore. And Rashida is saying, thank you for sharing your feelings so openly, Vivian. We are all equal. We are all part of one race, the human race. And now is the time to suffocate racism and social injustice. We can't be silent no more. And I agree. Yes, thanks, Rashida, for translating. Silence equal consent. Again, I'm challenging all the companies in the Netherlands to speak up. I am seeing so many companies in the States talking about this, standing up against racism, saying something that they need to support the human race. And when your company has a social report, I'm lost the words, but you know what I mean. The corporate social reporting, when your company is doing that and making statements regarding inclusion and diversity, know that we will remember this. We will remember where you were during this time, during the death of an innocent life. There are too many people dying innocently just because of the fact that people think that they are animals, just because of the fact that people think that they have no right to live. And I'm not taking this any longer. I have an obligation as a mother. I have an obligation as a Black sister. I have the obligation. I'm going to bring in the speaker for today. And know that the upcoming episodes, I will pay more attention to this. I will speak up for those who can't. We can't do this anymore. The next speaker for today, Eva Visser. Eva Visser Plaza is the founder of the holistic boutique coaching practice, Eva Authentic Living. She helps women reconnect with their body and soul, design careers, businesses full of purpose and well being, and life balance, conscious life. Thank you, Eva, for being here. And also, thank you for letting me have my rant about this because I felt the need to speak up. So, thank you.
But this is where it's about, Vivian. You're living the example of female leadership. We don't have to talk about female leadership anymore. This is it.
We do, because there's a lot more to say about this. So
it's so great that, sorry.
Yeah. What? No, share what you have to share. Share.
I want to thank you for your courage, and I want to thank you that you are really living what you believe in, because it takes courage to share what you just shared.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this is a form of leadership. You share your heart, you share your soul, you bring in your son, which is very, very vulnerable. It's your family, it's your heart. Every mother knows how dear, it's like our children are everything.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly that, when you said to me, you know what, I'm going to share about my son, I just had the chills, like, yeah, it's amazing that these things happen to, it's amazing what happens, and that if we have to, what happens to the next generation.
I hope that there will be a generation where we won't have to demonstrate for these things.
And until then,
it's our equal right to be standing next to you, to be talking to you, and to just live, to just breathe. Right. So Rashida is also saying hi. I see there is a small world. It's a small world.
Hi, Rashida.
So coming back to the first question, what is your connection with humanizing the workplace?
Well, my connection with humanizing the workplace is my own experience. Until 10 years ago, I worked as a project manager in an international consultancy firm, and I became a mother. And when I became a mother, everything shifted for me. I didn't understand what I was experiencing. I was this prototype of hardworking, high-achieving woman. I wanted to have a career, and I was very ambitious. And then my firstborn came now 11 years ago. And it was also the first time that I was like 6 months out of the workforce and not learning or not working or learning. And then when I came back, I was just like, what are all these people doing here? They're just running around for 12 million euros for this program. There was a transition program for a big company where we were working for a big team. And I just felt a disconnect with their world. And I was very confused because I was living something different in my private life. And I felt the strong disconnect of that private life in my work life, because everything what was very feminine was not welcome. So it was like we all put a suit on, all these consultants put a suit on, whoop, the moment that they entered the workplace. And I was like, oh, now we have to behave differently. Now we have to, like, I like to laugh, for example.
Were you aware that you were different before you became a mother?
Afterwards, of course. But in the moment that I came back, I didn't. I was just like confused. I didn't recognize myself anymore. And just like now or years later, because I went into a burnout or a crisis, like things were not aligned with me anymore. And years later, I saw, oh, it was because I didn't allow myself to be human. Because I don't blame the workplace. It's more, I didn't know how to express, hey, this is what I need, because I didn't know what I needed. So that's my first connection with humanizing the workplace. And then later on, I gave trainings and things, and I coach people to be a human at the workplace. To be a human at the workplace,
which
and not
is important.
Not a warrior, like I am this warrior and I have an armor on, and then from that armor I will work. That's exhausting.
It is.
So that's my connection with humanizing the workplace.
Cool.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. How to create a safe space as a leader for employees to thrive at work and create meaning?
Well, I have to think about a few things, but one of the things that I do feel like is a must-have ingredient for doing that is trust. Trust your people and create that safety where they can be themselves, where they can show up and do the work that they need to do, but also show up when they are vulnerable. Because I personally had occasions where I was vulnerable and it bit me. It bit me back. It bit me. It wasn't positive. It wasn't seen positive. And I was told, like, we don't need your emotions here. You're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to bring in your emotions. And I think that every parent that has seen the movie Inside Out, if you haven't seen it, watch the trailer on YouTube or Google Inside Out, which is showing the emotions of a teenage girl, and she has all these different emotions. She has sadness, she has happiness, she has what is it? She has angry, she has the question mark face or the question mark person, and they are trying to fade out sadness. But without sadness, you cannot generate happiness. There is this yin and yang when it comes to emotions, and not being able to allow to be yourself. That is something that we need to work on. And I'm challenging leaders to be vulnerable. When you are vulnerable, you get vulnerable reactions. And if not, go to a team training to become more vulnerable together, because without your team, you can't lead, you can't manage. When it comes to create meaning, we sometimes think that the meaning that has to come from, from the top, from the CEO or from the manager, but you create meaning together. That's when the team owns the company. That's when the team is carrying the company on their shoulders. So create a safe environment and create trust, and don't be afraid to show your vulnerability yourself.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So where you said something about female leadership, but I'm thinking about the people that aren't aware of female leadership. So that's why I have the next question for you. What is your definition of female leadership?
Yeah. Well, it's I have to explain a little bit here more, because there is not just one definition here. And again, I'm going to approach it with in a feminine way.
That's
And that
why I'm asking for your definition.
yeah, well, there is
Not the
like
Wikipedia version.
yeah, and I'm going to give you my feminine version, and also the
Mhm.
approach, the way of thinking, what I bring in, because it's not this is the definition, boom, that would be
Yeah.
very male, not as in gender, but as in a trait or an approach.
Mhm.
This is it. I have been thinking about this question, and it's twofold. So for me, I added feminine because I work mainly with women. And I see that for women, leadership works differently than for men.
Mhm.
Um, so for me, in general, feminine leadership is for every woman, specifically now, and I hope that feminine leadership is for everybody. But for now, it's just for women, working, not working, mothers, volunteers, whatever. But it's for women. You're a woman, and then this is it. This is for you, and it's about becoming aware of who you are, besides who you think you are or who people say to you who you are.
Mhm.
Um, Gaining consciousness, and then from that consciousness, that knowing yourself, learning to regulate yourself, and also learn to influence the circumstances. Not that you are a boat on the sea and that you are like, oh, I don't know where I'm going, but it's more, this is where I would like to go. And then life throws things at you or us, and how to navigate that. That is for me feminine leadership in general. And then
Mhm.
there
And
is
is that
feminine.
is that with the tom tom or without a tom tom on the boat?
The tum-tum is inside
It's
us.
you. Okay. Yeah.
And that's what we need to learn and discover,
Yeah.
where we bring in our inner compass, that we go beyond. So we take serious what our mind is saying, but we also take serious what our body and soul is saying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's learning to listen to that again. What is my body saying? What is the information of my body? Not just my gut, but also I have a headache. What does the headache tell me? What I have a stomach ache. What does the stomach ache tell me? Because we've learned that this is the mind, and then the rest is the body. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the body. This is the body. The body is including our brain.
Yeah.
So that's the holistic part, like including in leadership the mind and the body and the soul, and everything is equal to each other. I have to add that feminine leadership for women who are in leadership positions is specifically to help them unlearn their
Eva?
armor. Yeah? Am I not there anymore? Vivian, am I not there? Hello?
We are experiencing a small hiccup, but if you have any questions for Eva, just let me know so that I can address them to Eva. And I will send Eva a message.
Am I still not there?
Yes, you're here now.
Oh, okay. So that was the hiccup.
Yeah, that was a hiccup.
So
Mm-hmm.
what I was saying is that that is in general self-awareness and self-regulation, but for women in leadership positions, it's unlearning their armor. Because I see that a lot of female leaders or female women in leadership positions, they have a great armor, and their armor are the male traits. So they have hidden the vulnerability, they've hidden the sensitivity, they've unlearned their intuition, and it's like relearning to trust that, so that they can really connect with their team, like you said, like create that trust and create, because if somebody's vulnerable, you trust that person just a little bit more.
Yeah, true.
Instead of, this is the face. People are not stupid, you know?
Well, sometimes people don't know how to deal with those emotions. So I've come to the occasion, and also people told me about their situation when they become vulnerable, when they cry in front of their team members or their manager. Sometimes people don't know how to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing that you can do is, what can I do to support you? Because I'm not asking you to solve my problems. I'm asking you just to lend your ear or be there or support me at that time. And that's all you can offer.
Which is very feminine, to be present. You don't have to
Yeah.
do, and we are so unfamiliar, have unlearned to have feelings and emotions that people feel uncomfortable. That's the whole process. When I work with clients, the process of giving permission to feel is very uncomfortable. But the person who feels comfortable with being uncomfortable, for me, that is like a definite leadership trait, because we are human.
Okay, but this brings me to the next question, and that is something that I see a lot of female encountering when they are heading towards their glass ceiling. So what can female leaders do to overcome barriers in their career?
Yeah, first of all, when like this, for me, a barrier and a glass ceiling. So a glass ceiling could be a barrier, but I know that there is much more to it.
Yeah.
It's unpacking. It's like, really, when there is a barrier, what is this barrier? Identify that barrier, put focus and attention to what is it, unpack it, because you will see that the barrier is not about the barrier, it's about how we deal with that barrier. And there is always a lot of fear in ourselves. So that is, a barrier is always like a learning experience for me. So it's not, oh, I see a problem, I have to solve that problem. No, it is, what wants to happen here? What is this learning experience about? That's how I see a barrier. And a glass ceiling is a concept. So I unpack that with women to identify what this is for you. What does this mean? What does it trigger you? So that it's not a barrier anymore, but something that they see differently. So getting perspective is very important, and to feel
So
and
you're
listen.
dismantling the
Yeah,
problem, or you're dismantling the mountain that they see
as a barrier.
on their road. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
How I see barriers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an approach. It's if you can see it with a much more space, it's not a barrier. It's a learning experience. It's a growth experience, basically.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Which 3 female strengths can we all develop more in the workplace? What do you think?
Empathy.
Mm-hmm.
That's lacking in the workplace, but also just as a general. I think when looking at my son and also looking at other children, we all have the empathy gen within us, but along the way, somewhere, I don't know when, it is deactivated or it's switched off. So I encourage all the leaders to do something about it. Activate your empathy or increase your empathy, because with empathy you can win so much more. Another thing that I believe that is necessary when you see all these companies, startups or huge corporate companies, it isn't built with one person. You build it with a team. And that's something that we women, we really do. We want to do things together. We want to support the person. We want to collaborate more. And once you put emphasize on doing teamwork, doing team building, because team building isn't, just one day doing an activity and think that you have built your team. It's a relationship that you're working on. So invest in team building, invest in playful things, but also invest in planting thought seeds where you can grow each other. You can help each other grow and develop within the team. Another thing that I also that we women also have is the caregiving part. We care to the extent that we care more about the other person than ourselves. But what others can learn from that is we put others first, which isn't selfish, which is a kindness from our heart. And I think that when I look at these ingredients, I also do that. I also do that with this platform. There's a reason why you're seeing more women on this platform, because apparently they cannot be found. Well, I am encouraging you to look up the women that I'm interviewing. There's a reason why I am interviewing people of color. There's a reason why I am discussing certain topics, because I feel like it isn't amplified enough. So this platform for me is a way to plant thought seeds and to think about how you can develop your team in a whole, instead of looking at just one skill or looking only at the productivity. Try to include these ingredients, and you have so much more to win together with your team.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Just enjoy
You're quiet.
listening. Yeah, because I enjoy
Yeah.
listening to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you. So, what is the advice you would give to the next generation of female leaders? Okay, I'm bracing myself. Should I brace myself, because I feel like there is a whole load coming up.
No, I want to like I like to be I like to be concrete and short
Mm-hmm.
and simple.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have learned from my life and from working with women mostly, which has organically happened in the past years. I've never said, "Oh, I want to work with women." It happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
my journey, and it's the journey of these women. When I work now with women who are maybe 10 years younger than I am, or 12, they're in beginning 30s, I'm in my 40s. I always say to them, you know what? What's what do you need? What does it take to believe in yourself?
Mm.
What helps you to believe and take your qualities serious? Every single woman is doubting her abilities.
Yeah.
From the EMEA director of a big corporate organization, 40 plus, to the woman who starts at 23. They are all doubting their capabilities.
Yeah.
I am
Can I
doing it.
can I
Yeah.
say something about that? Because I only talk from the experience that I see with my son, but also his friends.
Hmm.
And guys have this brag thing gene going on at a young age. When I look at the way I was raised, but also look at the other small children, we sometimes need to sit still. We sometimes need to look pretty. There
Hmm.
is a certain standard that we need to uphold. And my son is 6 and he's bragging. And I'm just like, where does this come from? Why aren't women or children or girls being taught how to brag so that they can use it in a later end?
Well, I see that there is a conditioning, and
Mm,
it's biological. There is something biological, and there is something
yeah.
conditional. When I have two boys, I have two sons, and
Mm-hmm.
when I wanted to raise them in the beginning, like, okay, how can I be a good parent for boys, because I am
Mm-hmm.
a woman. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how they think.
Yeah.
Some book.
Still don't know.
No, still don't know. I don't know how men or
Yeah.
boys think, because we're different. We're equal, but we're
Yeah.
different. We're
True.
wired differently or conditioned differently, whatever reason.
Yeah.
In the book, it says girls want to be good, they want to have approval, and boys don't. You have to
Yeah.
demand their respect. So it's a very different way of upbringing. And that's the second thing that I always say. Don't try to be the good girl.
Yeah.
Don't try to be the good girl. Don't try to harmonize the workplace. You have
Yeah.
to be disruptive. You have to sometimes be assertive. You have to confront. These are male traits. It's not only embracing the feminine traits, but also you can step in and say, like, what you're doing now is like you're amplifying your voice. You're using a voice.
Mm-hmm.
It takes courage to do
Yeah.
that,
Do you
because
have
it's
something to say
vulnerable.
about what Rashida is sharing when
The
it comes to
imposter
imposter
syndrome.
syndrome?
Oh yeah,
Because, oh boy, did I face that. And I sometimes do have that. When I'm doing something that is beyond my out of my comfort zone, I have this little auntie sitting, or not one auntie, no, three aunties sitting on my shoulder saying, "Who do you think you are? Where?
Mhm.
What are you going to talk about? What are you doing?" And I have to beat those aunties away before I can embark the new journey.
Well, I always say, in the imposter syndrome is the ego. It's the ego mechanism that is active,
Mm-hmm.
and if those aunties are sitting there, who do you think you are? Who?
Yeah.
You're in a good spot because you're out of your comfort zone, and 98% of the people do not want to be in
Mm-hmm.
the comfort zone. So the imposter syndrome only happens when we are out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen when we're safe, when we are at
Yeah.
home, when we're hiding. It doesn't happen there. The imposter syndrome is when we are on stage, when we are giving a presentation, when we're on the line, when we have a difficult conversation, when we are feeling exposed. It's the ego mechanism that says, you're not safe anymore. Here you have to. Are you good enough? Are you this? Are you that?
Mm-hmm.
It's the good girl. It's the good girl mechanism,
Yeah.
because then you're not safe anymore.
Yeah.
So befriending in the imposter is befriending those elements in us, and then say, thank you very much. You've done a good job, but I'm now going to do this. I'm an adult. I'm not a young girl anymore, because it's just
What
a
would
work
you
of a young girl.
tell yourself 15 years ago?
Relax,
Yeah.
relax. Nothing will threaten you. It was also like, oh, relax. Everything, all is well. That's what I would say to myself. 15 years ago, relax. Don't try so hard.
Okay.
Be simple. Do whatever you feel is good for you. These just very simple advices. I can like wire up for certain things or be panicky about things which are not worth being panicking about. We feel threatened sometimes, but it's not a threat. We're not in danger. That's what I would
Well,
say.
sometimes people can make us feel this way, but I understand where you're coming from. So let's go to the next. Yes.
What keeps organizations? Yeah, this is where I'm very interested in
Mm-hmm. I
because
think I think not knowing what they can expect, and
not
also not
knowing.
knowing to invest in developing these strengths.
Oh, they
That's
don't
what
know.
I see.
Okay.
So I am happy to at least know an organization, or at least know the nonprofit organization from Lean in the Netherlands, where they are helping companies to be aware, raise awareness, talk about the biases, but also talk about developing yourself. And I have gotten to know so many female ladies, bosses who are taking over the world. They don't know that I'm talking about them, but they will after this session, because during this period of this lockdown, which can be challenging, which can be challenging to your mental mind, your mental health. It can be challenging for, especially for the parents who are dealing with homeschooling at the moment. And also, after reading this article, I think it was in the Guardian, where a lot of women are lessening their working hours because they can't do both, and a lot of the pressure, a lot of the workload from home is on their shoulders. And I would say we need to do something about that. As a company, I think also a company needs to say something about that. If the partner of your talent is maybe a doctor, or is working in a vital expertise, or has a vital expertise, or is doing something where there is a lot of load on your employee, speak on it, raise awareness, talk about it, that as a team we're here to support each other. As a team we can fix this. It's not about being productive, especially productive up to the par where you can deliver up to 100% or maybe 200% as you did before, because we are dealing with unprecedented times at the moment. We are dealing with new challenges, and I feel that companies need to speak up and help and support their people. What your boat, the way you are controlling your boat is different than the way I am steering my boat. And so we are all in the same storm, but we don't have the same boats. We all have different boats, and we need to
Mhm.
be supported in that, how to rock our own boats.
Yeah, and I would like to add something also to that, because you as an independent, you bring up difficult topics or
Mm-hmm.
courageous topics, and for what I'm seeing, because I'm working with women who are in that situation, they're pressuring
Mm-hmm.
themselves, they're not speaking up.
No.
They're feminine leaders, and they are homeschooling their children, and they're trying to be productive, but
Mm-hmm.
they are not saying this is not okay for me. We have
Yeah.
to be organize this differently, and organizations can do it, but these women are part of the organization. So
Yeah.
I am encouraging them, what works for you, and share that with the organization.
Yes.
They don't feel entitled.
And also share that with each other, right?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I'm turning 40, and last year I had this aha moment, like, okay, I need to do something. Not that I have to do something radical, but I need to do something for me, and I need to do something that changed the world. And that's what I'm doing with humanizing the workplace. But I have to admit that that aha moment,
Hmm.
or that switch to put my Beyonce on and say I'm running the world, it happened when I became a mom.
Hmm.
And I was just like, all this time, I could have done something. Not that I am ashamed or embarrassed or regret what I did before becoming a mom, but I do want to say that
Oh, now I don't see you.
has the opportunity to generation. Because if we don't share, nobody knows and everybody has to discover everything on their own. And there is also so much knowledge in books, right? So if you can't find the mentors within your circle, find books, find Lean In, look up Lean In. They have so many, inspiring circles and inspiring people, but also look up LinkedIn. I mean, within a short time, I also have to say props to Gary, but also I've met so many wonderful people during this lockdown, and it has opened my world. I do have to say, I have my introvert days on, so on my introvert times, I just would like to say I need my me time to recover from everything, especially after this conversation today because the topic was loaded. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to meet people like you. I'm glad to meet people who are in Singapore or in the States, because it makes the world a smaller place instead of the hugeness. So I would say, yes, you can depend on the companies, but also I would like to encourage the female leaders, and also men. Men can be an ally, right, for female leaders
Oh yeah,
to
for sure.
help mentor those you think that they might need your help or your support, and speak up. If it's not within the company, then find ways to maybe mentor somebody outside of the company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, men can also be like men can also be men are men. You know,
No,
every
I
man
think
is.
I think a huge example of somebody who touches his feminine side is Mo Gaudat.
Mhm.
He speaks on about that. But also another good example is Obama.
Yeah, I was thinking about him. Like he's saying, "Hey,
Yeah,
I am the I am husband of Michelle Obama,"
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
and he is so for me he is a great example of a lead. For me,
Mm-hmm.
that is feminine leadership. What he does,
Yeah,
it's not no, it's I call it now feminine leadership, and I just want to call it like in the future leadership. That it's not.
yeah.
And maybe I'm going too fast because for another question,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say something about this. What is David Pushkin saying? So many good
Davis
takeaways.
Pushkin is saying so many good takeaways and nuggets. So he's
Oh,
saying applaud to us. Thank you for being our ally and also
yeah.
supporting
Thank
the
you, David.
show.
Thank
And
you.
Rashida also said something about, yeah, she loves that advice, Eva. We all need to hear that. So
Thank you. Thank you, Rashida.
thank you for sharing. And also, we also
Oh
suffer
no.
from FOMO, from fear of missing out. We do. We do a lot. We do.
Yeah.
We do. So going back to the next question, what
Mhm.
is some of the advice you would like to share young women when they are entering a male-dominated profession or work field? So I am asking this question because when I started my career, I was working in finance. I started at a huge Big Five accountancy firm. You can look at my LinkedIn, which Big Five it is. I'm not going to say their names, but um, I would have loved your advice when I started 20 years ago.
Mm. Can I share my advice? Okay, I've written it down because I have several, and I know that my mind doesn't work properly in the moment. So
Yeah. just
one,
just share them. Yeah.
okay, one. I'm repeating what I said before. Don't try
Mm-hmm.
to be a good girl. Two, do not try to be one of the boys. That's what
Mm.
some girls try to
Yes.
do. They were at a very technical environment and they want to hang out with the boys. Don't do that. Don't try to be one of the boys. You are a woman and they
Mm-hmm.
are men. We are different. Um, Even if some people are disagreeing with me, that's fine. But I just believe that we are different. We are equal, but we are different.
Mm-hmm.
Take your time to observe when you enter the workplace or a male-dominated world, which is the workplace in general. Women are working only 60 to 70 years at the workplace. We started as secretaries and receptionists and all of that, as assistants, not being taken seriously. So it's a very young, in a time scale of thousands of years, it's very young. So take your time and space to observe the environment. See how the circus is displaying, because you're in the circus. And also, do not take it so serious. Don't identify yourself with the role that you're having. Women are just so eager to, and they take stuff sometimes personal, but it's not necessary. That's 3. 4, be aware of how you respond. So, like, observe also yourself, how you get triggered or what happens.
It's a very important one, especially when you have your stressors, that you know how to control yourself and know how to react instead of being the gazelle of or you can be the gazelle or the lion in this case.
Yeah. And of course it happens because when you're young and when you're just inexperienced, and many are driven and ambitions and if I want to adjust, I want to please, all of these things are. So it's seeing that, giving yourself time and space to see that, I'm trying to please. I want to harmonize the situation, but that's not bringing the best out of you.
Yeah.
So therefore, what you said before, it's so super important to create allies.
Yeah.
Women need other women and men, but they need women too. Every week I have since 2 months a feminine circle. I always thought, feminine circles, actually, it makes me a better person. It makes them a better person. We are just sharing, we're doing meditations. I'm the facilitator, and I was always a little bit wary about it. But something happens when women in a circle or in a group are sharing and responding with respect. So having somebody who listens and asks questions and then maybe gives feedback, but just being heard is so crucial in the beginning, because then you take yourself serious because you feel validated by somebody. And the insecurity lowers because women need more confidence, more grounded confidence, because then they can say, hey, this is my voice. Something is wrong here. Something is off here. I want to have this difficult conversation. Even if you're 25, if you're fierce and you believe in yourself, you do that. I see young people do that. Then I'm saying, wow, I wish I would have done that at 25.
They are more courageous now, but still, in the end,
Yeah.
sometimes they are too courageous, where I am thinking about, okay, I hope that you think about the effects afterwards, because there are some things doing things too fast, too soon. Yeah.
But that's part of being young, because
Yeah.
when you're young, you're naive and you're idealistic. And then when you're 40, it's like, oh, yeah, if things work, you have more life experience. So, yeah, it's a little bit different. That's what I would say.
We're almost at the end. So the last question is, what is your wish for 2025 when it comes to humanizing the workplace and female leadership?
I would love to see more. I would love to see organizations, like if you would be the voice of an organization, that's what I would love to see. That female leaders in organizations are sharing what you shared at the beginning. That's what I would love to see. And that they're not, they don't have a policy of, can we do that or not? Like, this is how we really authentically, vulnerably think about situations. We feel responsible for what happens with people, with the earth, because feminine leadership is not about us. It's about a whole organism where we're all living in.
Yeah, it's about the collaborating part, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but also the effects on, it's organizations are just organisms. And we are part of that. We contribute with our work, but it's an organism. And if women and men can share honestly where they care for and they stand for, that's what I would love to see.
True.
That's what I
I
think.
also want to say something. I forgot to mention Lou. Thank you for watching. And Rishida, also thank you for watching. And in my world, I have seen, or not in my world, I've seen amazing women step up when it comes to this lockdown. I have to say props to the lady of New Zealand, so the Prime Minister of New Zealand. I
Mm-hmm.
have to say props to Michelle Obama. I have to say props to Minda Harts. For those of you who don't know her, I interviewed her a long time ago, and she's the lady behind the memo. She's the author behind the memo. I have talked to Kanika Tolver. I've talked to so many beautiful, wonderful female leaders, and I want to encourage you to investigate, to look out for those leaders, to amplify those leaders. We need allies, we need support, and we need you to see us, to validate us, and to raise the bar, because that's what you want for your daughters. That's what you want for your
Mm-hmm.
son. That's what you want for the generation in general.
And we need women. We need women for this,
Mm-hmm.
because you, when you speak, you don't speak your mind, you speak your
No,
mind and your heart and your
no,
soul. And
no,
when people hear that, something happens.
no,
And that's what we need. We need that feeling again, like, oh shit, like, yeah, I get goosebumps, I get touched, and then I
no,
feel engaged. Me, as in the audience,
no,
not just me, Eva, but the audience. We need
no,
women. It's also time for women.
no.
We don't
I
have to ask
totally
for
agree.
permission anymore. Hmm?
I want to say thank you for
Thank you for
being
having
an
me.
awesome guest, but also
Yeah.
thank you for being the support that I needed today to do this, to have this conversation. And I hope that we inspired the people that are watching. And if you're watching the replay, please let us know what you learned from this, because I really, we want to inspire people. We want to plant thought seeds and hope that you use this thought seed to pay it forward, to humanize the workplace, or to humanize your environment, the environment that you are in, because we need that at a moment. And Eva, thank you so much for being an awesome guest, being unique, and being patient with me. I really enjoyed this session.
Yeah, me too.
And for the listeners, the guest speakers, or sorry, the listeners, those who are watching live, those who are listening to this replay or watching this replay, I want to say thank you. Know that next week we will have a conversation about inclusive diversity.
Mm.
Which direction we are going to go, I have to think about it, because due to what happened recently, I have to rewrite my script a little bit. But no, it will be somewhere about what happened last week, but also we are also going to keep that conversation going about inclusive diversity. And know that upcoming Thursday will be a Dutch broadcast. So if you're English, tune in next week Tuesday. And otherwise, if you're Dutch or you can understand Dutch, tune in upcoming Thursday. My name is Vivian Acquah, the workplace wellness advocate, mother of Orlando, and I am tired of fighting for my rights. I'm tired of for fighting for the rights of people of color, but it's needed, and that's why I decided to speak about it today. So thank you for watching, and until next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.